Hello, and welcome again to Chronically PWS. My little therapy session to vent about everything prader-willi involved. And today I just wanted to talk about the unique body composition prader-willi and a little bit about my experience in unique situations that I've been in medically. I think the interesting thing about prader-willi is that you group all these things together, these differences. You know, we all have different facial features, narrow temples and downturned mouths and small chins, things like that are just the physical difference. Almond-shaped eyes and nice little things. There are other people that have those features too. It's a grouping, and to really see that phenotype in the person, I think for me those features stood out more obese. Now they stand out, but I'm not the prettiest looking person you know, because of these features, but I think there's especially as a baby, we're cute kids. I think we're really cute kids. I think as adults we just look a little different, but I think we're all beautiful. We're all God's creation. You know, I have distinct features based upon my family. I have big ears, big earlobes. I don't think I have it's not that I've got like these outstanding ears, but they're just long and big earlobes, and I like my ears. Got a bulbous nose, kind of like that too. Got a pretty big different distance here. I don't like to accentuate that with a mustache, but the sideburns now kind of gives me a contoured face, but I don't know, that's a little bit weird to talk about. As an adult though, I think the things that you discover, it seems like you're always discovering something, right, about your physiology that's a little bit different. Whether as a child, you kind of had I had these boxy short feet, right, before I took the HCG, and still they're little boxy feet. They're not great mashers, you know, or anything like that. They're just little boxy feet. So my hands are, I think the HCG really helped my hands, you know, the growth hormone. But oh yeah, that fused phalanges there that rubs, I got that on both hands. I don't know if anybody else has that, but you know, when I was younger it was a lot louder. Now I don't know if it's the osteopenia or whatever, it isn't as loud, but when I was younger you could hear it. But yeah, it's just like this joint is kind of the knuckle rubs there. Kind of odd, but anyway, that was something different. And the tonsils in the whole palate kind of being thickened, you know, big tongue. It's not that my tongue was long, it was just big in itself, you know. And what else? Oh, the one thing I wanted to talk about too was obstructive sleep apnea. That I had that, but it was more like lightly obstructed, but not, I never had like huge problem with that. Even my flow was very low when I was on CPAP. So I kind of looked out there, but again, it's just that it was physiological to the point of the way that my palate was shaped. It wasn't that I didn't have a huge epiglottis and all that, right? And I had my tonsils and adenoids removed when I was like 13, because I got strep throat and all that, you know. But yeah, it was just that it was a little bit bigger, you know, and it caused that restrictiveness. Again, we've already kind of talked about the red blood cells being produced from the knees versus the ankle, you know, versus how it kind of draws up into the body and you more towards your sternum and your rib cage. As an adult, where you produce red blood cells, that kind of was a slower process for me in maturation of how my body kind of came along. So that was kind of different. Eyesight has been kind of a thing that it's weird. It gets better, it gets worse. I have a real bad stigmatism, and it comes and goes a little bit, but and then my eyes, you know, this one kind of is off just a little bit, but not bad. I mean, just to a small degree. All those little problems, they're just differences, right? I wear glasses, never took to contacts, could never really do that comfortably. I was always obsessing about them. When I was younger, it was actually hard for me to wear glasses because I hated the way that they would touch my nose. When I was younger, and kids, you'll never believe this, but glasses were glass and frames were big plastic. And for me, it was just a sweat, right? It kind of kept, it trapped the heat around my eyes. So, they weren't fun, and I never wanted to wear them. I hated glasses. It really took the point where I can't see without them to actually get used to them. So don't bust your, if your kids have those sensory issues and they can't wear the glasses easily, without it really getting on their nerves, don't bust their chops too bad about it. Obviously, you don't want their eyesight to get worse, but it's going to change their entire life. It's going to, get better here, get worse there, as we all do. Yeah, that was weird. I really, really, want to stress the demineralization of my teeth and the thickened saliva and how all that kind of helped, push me to being, not having teeth, and how that, was a bummer. And how much pain, that whole process was painful for me. And I never really had good enamel anyway. I mean, they said my teeth were demineralized. I basically had, these really transparent teeth. I was prescribed Provenadent fluoride toothpaste as a preteen to start that. I know that that's going to be a fight with some of our folks in terms of consuming that toothpaste because it's highly toxic and you don't want to do it. You want to use it and spit it out. So it's really like not a good fit for some folks. And then the thickened saliva and keep your mouth moisturized. And I think we're all kind of big drinkers in terms of fluid, although we don't like water. Again, I can't universally say we don't like water. I've heard a lot of parents say it's difficult to get my child to drink water. They're like water adverse or something. So, and I'm water adverse. It was hard for me. It's really not a good mix of criteria. I'd brush my teeth in a normal rotation, but just not, given where my teeth were and the composition of my teeth, it wasn't going to help. Even keeping up a brush after meals, brush before bed. I mean, it might have slowed things down a little bit more, and I did keep a good routine, but I felt like as an adult that I was on a sinking ship with my teeth. And as an adult, independent adult, trying to afford, the dental aspects of it, just really expensive. I'm sure y'all know that, for yourselves, if you've had, any extensive dental work done, it can be really pricey. So just like wearing glasses, I had to get used to wearing these, and, it's still, there's good and bad days with it. Overall, the good days have definitely outweighed the bad days that I had prior to having this. So for me, it's been the solution. I know for a lot of people, it's a difficult thing, but my teeth were just really, really bad, and we'd spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on my teeth. Do the best you can do with what you have, right? So that's what I had. Another thing, talking about unique physiology or the deep-seated veins have always been a challenge. I was very afraid of needles, I think, until I was probably a teenager, honestly. I was poked and prodded a lot, and it took more maturity to realize that what they were doing was not hurting me, it was helping me. I was going to feel better because I did those things. I think that's kind of like the rationale that everyone thinks, and that you want to make it as easy as possible on those healthcare providers to do their job, what I got in my mind. So I I was able to go through. I will say though, out of every test I've ever had, the blood oxygen was probably the worst blood test I've ever had in my life. If you ever have to have that, I feel for you. Hopefully you'll never have to have it more than once in your life. It's not fun. Getting over that, I mean, I turned into the Incredible Hulk when my mom took me to the pediatrician to get blood work, and I said, it was always that question, like, you're going to the doctor. Oh, are they going to do blood work? And then she wouldn't say, and then I would get anxious because I knew it might happen, and then it would happen, and then I would just lose it. I wasn't a good kid at the doctor. I'd kick nurses in the face. They used to have, in the phlebotomist or MLT thing, it used to be like a wooden chair that the kids would sit in, and I broke those, man. I'd just get really, really different. Now I'm good. I couldn't, if young Jared would have seen adult Jared and said, okay, this is how you're going to feel about it later, maybe I would have comforted myself at that young age. But at the time, there was nothing that was going to, make me happy with, or at least okay with it, passive about it. And I know, too, we have high threshold for pain. That's been real weird, too, is the actual response to pain medication has been, into any sedating medication. And I think a lot of this might have to do with the way that our lung function is, or, it seems like I can never get away. Like, if I'm sedated, and it takes me a while to get over it. I don't just, whenever I was under general anesthesia that I had at a younger age was prior to phenopropofol, which is the big general now. It was I think it was phenobarbital, and I could just never wake up from that stuff, and it made me sick. It really did. It made me sick in itself. So that was just the challenge, like, anesthesia in itself, and tapes and adhesives. It's like I wouldn't have a reaction, but I would immediately. But I had an epidural when I had a major surgery in 91, and when they took the tape off from the epidural, it was just a line of blisters. Like it had just reacted against my skin. And also the epidural, man, that I had one for like 72 hours, and that was crazy. That was like itching all over, and I was delirious, and I couldn't even sleep. I was so itchy. My mom would just sit there with a brush and like brush over my face. Just weirdness. It's just weirdness. To this day, like, I have to take like Benadryl when I take those antibiotics that I'm sensitive or allergic to. But still, like, getting over that, taking a Benadryl, it's like I might as well just not do anything for the rest of the day, because it's so sedating and so much of a bummer. If it's going to help me take that oral antibiotic that, I might have a sensitivity to, if it's going to help me tolerate it, I'm taking it, because I know that it's a lot better than, getting another PICC line or having to do that. So I think the thing is, you can journal all these things about the different physiology of prader-willi. Think about, the deep-seated veins and how hard it is to have blood work, how challenging it is to find veins and things like that. Even now, after this weight loss that I've had, it can still be hard. I actually have this hand, I have a vein that I really just regularly use. It's got a lot of scar tissue on it now because it's been used so much, but I just say, hey, if you're having trouble, they'll look at that and go, too much scar tissue, but hey, there's one right next to it. And the one that right next to it runs across the nerve, of course, so that's going to feel good, right? It's just amazing. Like, I've had IV teams and who can do this. I've had just challenges, medical challenges with just trying to get something started. And especially when I was obese, it was like, they were like, well, go in his neck, And I think I did have all of it, but I just knew it was a lot of mess, right? It was a lot of just inconvenience and not fun. That's a challenge, and the response to medication, and I would say for me the over response to sedation and pain medicine is weird, and I don't like to take pain medicine. I know there's times when I need it. I will go a long time without taking it because it just makes me inoperable. Or I'll just take something. If I can get away with taking Tylenol, I'm not one that, give me all the drugs. No, because sometimes it's those side effects and things like that are worse for me than, that's one thing. And then for me, I've had this, and I've mentioned this, I think, at the convention, just wanting to know if anybody else had this, but I have that keloid scarring where the scars kind of conjunctify and kind of inflame and stuff, or just kind of build up. That's interesting too, not healing right, or healing abnormally. That might be more of a genetic, a family genetic thing, like an inherited thing, but it's something that I face. But there's a million symptoms with the syndrome, eyes, teeth, skin, veins, bones. Having a longer torso for me has been different. The way clothes fit. I'd rather wear clothes down. My wife's always like, you never pull things up to your waist. I'm like, well, it's just not comfortable for me. And especially with my other problems, I like to wear cotton and loose fitting, because if I get into restrictive clothing, I'm just asking myself for problems with my infections. And I just got that the other day. Doctors know these things, but sometimes they don't tell you these things, because they don't want you to worry. But doctor's like, okay, you've got Eps.XVII, Staphylococcus, and Eps.XVII, and you've got colonization of both. You're not symptomatic. I could either give you ceftonir, I'm sensitive to it, or ampicillin, which I had a penicillin challenge, and I'm not sensitive to it. So just depending, we'll start with the ampicillin. Maybe that'll knock it out if you start to become symptomatic with your epididymitis or your UTIs. We'll do that. So I'm living with 2 bacteria, doc. Basically, colonized bacteria, the bane of my existence. But anyway, that's my history of surgeries and problems. And man, I am so glad that modern medicine has kind of gotten through to the point where, boys that face my issue and girls that face, a similar issue, that those things can be resolved, with not repeated surgeries. For me, it's like, I will never stop. I will always have to have surgery and interventions. For instance, I'm going in for a laser epilation and cystoscopy in October. Doctor's like, time to re-up, and let's see if you've got any remnants that we need to take care of, that any hair follicles or whatever. Yeah, that's not fun, but it is what it is. I'm just very, very, very happy that kids now can grow up in a time where the grafting techniques are better and the surgery techniques are better. I've had a buccal graft, urethroplasty, really helped me. And now I just heard that there is another grafting procedure where they take the skin of your forearm to do a urethroplasty, but you have to go through electrolysis for 6 months on that patch of your forearm, and this is all covered. So it's like a multi-stage procedure. That's kind of cool, and anything that they can do, those things may not help me, and that's okay. But if it can, if those things help other kids with prader-willi, other kids with hypospadias get over these things and have a better result, amen to that. Amen to it. Because I don't want any kid to have to go through medial dilation and constant, catheters and constant surgeries and all those things, and excruciating painful things that might be a little bit over dramatic, but they're pretty uncomfortable and painful. But I don't want them to have to go through that. I'm ready for medicine to evolve beyond that. It's just like dealing with these new medications. I want them to be approved, not for my sake, but just for the sake of kids that are facing prader-willi. Let's see what we can do to curb this hunger and help these kids live normal, enriching, wonderful lives. Let's get rid of this hyperphagia and plagia, and let's get them educated, and let's get them, let's turn them into doctors so they can help other kids, or turn them into nurses, or whatever. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready for that to happen. I'm ready to advocate for that. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the next generation of kids with Prader-Willi syndrome to be absolutely, positively the best that they can be. And anything that I can do in my power, I will do. So I may not be the parent of a Prader-Willi syndrome child. I am a Prader-Willi syndrome patient. And I'm telling you as an adult that I will fight for your kids, for you, for me. If it helps me, that's great. Whatever, I don't care. I'm ready. I'm ready for things to change and get better. And it's that one small step, that hope, everything that we can do for each other. I'm just ready for it. I'm ready for the success. I know that our kids and we are strong, and we're intelligent, and we've got unique abilities. We've got unique abilities. Don't believe we don't. I mean, we have that visual spatial thing. My wife says, I can't visualize that. I can't visualize that. I can visualize it. Hey, artistic. I love to visualize stuff, man. That's what I do. I mean, come on. So we got unique abilities. We're awesome. We just need that help. I'm going to do what I can do to make people aware of this disorder. Again, hopefully at some point I can start raising money for it, and yeah, whatever. Let's do it. Be on the team. Chronically PWS. Join the PWSA, Foundation for Prader-Willi Research. I should have done it years ago. I didn't. Now I'm going to fight for it. With everything I am, until the last breath in my body, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to fight for it. This channel is to help those afflicted and those parents with children afflicted. The Park Bopper is just a guy that likes to go to Disney, and just to let people know I have, Prader-Willi syndrome. But this channel is for my community and for those parents, my family. If you want to subscribe, check me out, be here, watch my videos, follow me on Instagram, whatever you do, that's cool. Just to know that I'm fighting, and I'm going to fight. I'm ready to fight, and I'm ready for changes.